Right. As per usual, we'll do.
Hey guys,
maybe two.
my name is Marty,
It's quite.
and this is my Hollow Knight,
This
any
is the biggest
percent,
one
no
on the
hit,
stream,
no damage,
possibly.
uh,
Um,
run. um,
so whatever happens.
so
First
this
run,
was footage
first run of the day,
taken
I'm pretty
from
off cobwebs the
my
last
stream
days.
over at twitch.tv
Whatever
forward slash
happens,
Marty's
happens.
Gaming.
Just
I'll
carry
leave a
on
link
as normal.
in the description.
You hit
And
it the D.
I wanted to make this commentary as kind of like a
I don't think you
semi-guide
hit it the D.
for anyone who was
That'd be
looking to
painful.
do the run themselves. And just to kind of explain, like, you know, the process that's kind of happened over the past couple of months.
So yeah.
It's been a lot of ups and downs
Good.
in the past few months. I initially
Set
set the
up
baseline in the 31st of March,
Brother.
and I got a baseline of like 217, and yeah, we got the run on the 1st of August, so four months.
More and more, no.
And even then, it was only maybe 1 or 2 streams a week, if even. Just trying to get that PB down lower and lower.
I'm not. I can't do it.
I guess I'll explain the nicknames for the splits that I have in the top right.
Don't wanna get dressed.
Chonky is False Knight because he's a chonky boy.
How long until you have to get your shot?
Ho is Hornet because you can't spell Hornet without Ho. And sometimes Hornet does act like a little hoe. And the fight is just arguably too hard at times.
2 hours.
I am Gru's is the Gru's mother. Just play on I am Groot. Mantis Claw, we don't have a nickname, but we did actually change it like in about maybe 20 minutes or so. We actually changed it to Mango Claw because the day before I was doing an item randomizer playthrough,
And then someone asked.
and someone in chat asked if I managed to pick up the Mantis Claw yet. And I said that I didn't, but when he sent the message, it auto-corrected from Mantis to Mango, so I changed the name to Mango Claw. Shiny Fume is the Crystal Dash. The D is the Dream Nail. Meme Sanctum is Dream Sanctum because, you know, Meme Sanctum, or Soul Sanctum, sorry, has always been very memey. Always very memey hits and mistakes. John Cena is Soul Master, just because he likes to make an entrance. The Roly Poly Boys is the Watcher Knights. LSD Skip Rope is the Acid Skip at Forgotten Crossroads into Fall Canyon. Uwu instead of Umu. Hell is Deep Nest, pretty self-explanatory, and and the toilet seat is the Hollow Knight himself because his head looks like a toilet seat.
They did ask for the list.
I can't unsee it either.
This
This arena here is like the first kind of locked arena. Once you kill this like first fly that spits its orange jaff at you, you want to stand on this platform right here, and then as soon as you see the other flies starting to emerge from the background, you want to jump up to that platform in the top left and hit that little spike into the two of them. Looks really cool, takes a bit of practice, but it does make the fight just that little bit quicker. I initially was running this on PlayStation 4, and I just casually was playing this until I decided then to start doing a no-hit run. And like I said, I ended up with a baseline of like 217, which is quite high. Not gonna lie, it was quite high, but yeah, the majority of the hits were in the Watcher Knights and the THK himself. But then we eventually whittled it down to like 84, 71, 31, 19, 13, 9, and then 4. We got the 9 and the 4 on the same day, back to back, and then we got 2, and then of course we got the run. Here, just kind of explaining as well what I'm doing. You're supposed to have 50 geo to buy this stag station. I think this is the first time I've never had 50 geo. Maybe 48, 49, but I had like 38 or something. So I think I missed a geocache or something. But you want to have 50 geo, just so you can buy that stag. Upgrades that I get in the fight or in the run. Obviously dash, Vengeful Spirit, and then the Vengeful Spirit upgrade. And I also get D-Dive, which is not necessary. In fact, even the fireball upgrade is not necessary, but it helps quite a lot. The D-dive upgrade for me was pretty much necessary. I struggled a lot with the Watcher Knights fight, and I found the D-dive upgrade quite a good panic button, we'll say. As you'll see later on in the Watcher Knights fight, I think I use it about maybe twice, but that's 2 less hits that I avoided. So altogether, there's about 7 or so bosses that I fight, and like I said, 2 of those you could probably leave out completely.
I don't know why I nearly forgot your name. It's just step, bro. My arm is stuck.
So the first of the bosses that I go to do now is the False Knight, and in fact I think it's possibly everybody's first boss, even if it's your casual playthrough. Pretty straightforward. 13 hits for a stagger. Perfectly timed sound alert there with the hammer hitting the ground caught me off guard, but wasn't enough to keep me. Wasn't enough to distract me, we'll say. So yeah, I count out loud 13 hits until he's staggered, and then once his little helmet opens up, it's 8 hits until he gets back up. The little footballs that come down off the ceiling, if you manage to parry those into the False Knight, that's actually 2 hits. So if you manage to hit him before he starts raining fires, so I go like 1, 2, 3. Then once the balls start coming down from the roof, you go 5, 7, maybe 9. And I think it's about 3 or so of those, and then that's the fight over. Pretty straightforward. So yeah, like I said, I was running this on the PlayStation 4, but towards the end of like the runs, then I was actually in the middle saving up and getting myself a PC. So switching over to PC was super comfy. It was actually harder going back to PlayStation, just because of the input delay, we'll say.
Don't be telling me the address of the place.
So yeah, kill the False Knight, collect the city crest. You'll need that to get into the City of Tears. Go up and collect this little geocache. Nice little 200 geo. Pretty good.
You're helping him. Ah, okay. Yeah, to be fair, he does need a lot of help. Oh, Leon.
So yeah, if anybody's running this on console,
The end of last night's
I would advise you not, if you can. Try and do this on PC, because you won't regret it. And it helps so much with the practice. Once you get the debug mod and everything else, and the bench warp mod and things like that, you can just practice boss fights over and over again without having to replay the game to get to that boss fight.
So now we have a nickname for every split. This is great.
So after the chunky is done, you want to go into the Ancestral Mind and get our first upgrade, which is the Vengeful Spirit, or Fireballs, I like to call it.
Oh, Christ on a bike. Oh. Thank you.
So we're just making our way through the Ancestral Mind.
Mantis Claw. And we got half.
I initially started playing this game, I think, way back in...
Like 1/2 of the white charm.
I think maybe about this time, maybe slightly later. It might have been about September, October, November time last year. I'm not gonna lie, I found this game quite hard, and I still do. Don't get me wrong, the any percent route that I do seems quite easy now to me because I've been doing it for weeks and months.
Oh yes, that feels good. Oh yes.
But yeah, trying to do like the pantheons and things like that, I struggle with even like Marmu.
Vengeful Spirit. Oh yeah.
The thing with the any percent run as well is that there's a lot of room for maneuverability. We pick up the Soul Catcher charm, which is one of the 3 main charms that I use throughout the run. So once you collect it, make sure you bench here and equip it, because that will help a lot with the fireball damage. What was I saying again? I forget what I was saying. But anyway, so yeah, that's one of the 3 charms that you wanna that I pick up anyway. Oh yeah, so the any percent route, you can do as much as you can to complete the game. as little or as much.
Oh,
So like I
My
said, you know,
neighbours heard that
D-dive isn't necessary. You can do the run without it.
Oh.
I felt way more comfortable with the D-dive ability. Here I'm just making sure that I've got full soul for this this boulder that's blocking the path into
Aw.
green path.
What's a 3-day weekend?
Initially, because I was so worried about how much geo I was going to collect throughout the run, I actually included the massive moss charger, which is way deep in green path, for like 400 geo or something like that. Something ridiculous.
Oh, you start your job tomorrow. Ooh. How are you feeling about that one?
And I also included a pale ore upgrade. So the pale ore, you don't need it. And nor did I need the extra geo. In fact, I did play this on Steel Soul a few times to get the extra geo with the rancid egg, selling it to Jin. But I collect enough geo throughout the run, and if you're following the same guide, you will too.
I don't know there's points.
So that
If that's the case, I must be at least
you won't be stuck for a few pennies, we'll say.
point
As
one.
long as you have your 1850
Yes, there's
to
section
get
two.
the
Oh,
lantern,
improvement.
which you'll need to get into Crystal Peaks,
Such a good story.
and the
Good.
50 extra geo
That's
for
really good.
the toll
also
gate,
a really good
because you
concept
can't
bit
buy the
for
toll gate without the
players as well.
lantern. The game won't let you. Here's the is where the fireball skip is into green path. I still have never been able to pull off a fireball skip,
I do have
not
one, yeah.
once. So I used the fly. I nickname him Harold, and I love Harold.
I have two actually sitting next to me.
If you follow the pattern that I did about luring the fly, and then you just want to pogo off the top of him to get into green path, cuts a lot of the route down from green path. If you mess it up and you accidentally kill the fly, you can just go back
No, it's
through
not.
the way you came,
Might still be there.
and re-enter, and the fly will respawn. So never worry about having only one opportunity to do that. Like I said, I still can't do the fireball skip at all.
The size of an oven. Yeah, the bun is the oven, so the oven is the bun. Yeah, that. Wow! Wow, indeed.
These little guys that shoot the Java diagonals, I call those the DVD logos,
Glad you guys are
just because of the way they like to move and the way they shoot their fireballs. You want to make sure you've got full soul for this little trap arena. The Moss Knight that comes out of here, you wanna attack him, and then as he's coming out of the ground, you want to hit him, and then fireball him 3 times. Makes it nice and easy.
What time is it?
And then we're coming up to the
Half
Vengeful
7.
King.
Like 7:30.
I don't know if this is actually
In the
the
morning.
Vengeful King, like the ones that's in the
It's like, you know,
Pantheons and Godhome,
move somewhere.
but
So we messed up
unfortunately
with-
we have to
yeah, but
rescue
then it
Zote
has a knock-on effect
if we
with-
want to collect a nice.
No, it
nice
doesn't have
good
a
amount
knock-on
of
effect
geo.
with Dex. It's knock-on effect to your sleeping pattern throughout the
So
week.
you want to fireball nail,
Actually,
fireball
no, it's my
nail,
sleeping pattern.
nail, nail,
Be
nail,
two.
nail, and it gives you an extra nice little bit of geo. Of course, I mess it up and all the geo goes everywhere.
It's raining geo.
But with having
Now
missed
people sort of
or
say,
having not
kinda,
fully
yeah.
collected the 50 geo
Is
that
it
I
working?
wanted to get the
Have you got your
stag,
sleeping pattern
that's the
sorted
first
yet?
of the many sketchy things that happens throughout the run. As you'll see later on, it's
How would you even make
if
a
ever I
stag
could
from
pick a
all of it?
Mimi run
You would
for that to be
okay,
the run,
so
then this is it, because I
maths.
make a lot of mistakes,
You would
but I still managed to
have a
save it.
certain amount of, like,
Here you've got the 2 Moss Knights.
whatever amount
Um,
of ingredients you need. to make
one's
one.
walking, one's kind of hiding. There's like a blade of grass, kind of just
You-
where that
you can find
rightmost
any,
geo
like, how
is.
much ingredients you have.
Once the
And then you
patrolling
can
Moss
make one,
Knight
right?
is
So
like
it's
walking
getting
from
bigger
right
the
to
older
left,
the
once he kind of
So the more
touches that
ingredients you
grass
put
and
in,
starts
the
to
bigger the
move,
bond. So you keep
that's when I
track of
drop
that
down.
until eventually you put in enough
Those
ingredients
Moss
that
Knights
when
can give you
the
some trouble,
bund's big, that it takes up the entire space of
because
the
you don't want the second Moss Knight, the one that's walking, to be too far
right now.
or too near. Because if it's too near, it'll swing for you. If it's too far, it'll spit its little moss balls at you,
Or
and it can
get,
give
like,
you a bit
crazy
of
oven, put that inside the
bit of
bigger oven,
trouble.
and then hope
So that's a nice 170 geo, and then once you come down here, watch out for the fly trap. Pick up the first relic, which is the Wanderer's Journal for about 200 geo. And then you want to go back up and left into our second boss fight, which is Hornet. Or as I like to say, Ho Time.
Right? In a toaster. You grill something in a grill or on a grill. Why do you never oven something inside an oven?
A little pro tip as well, if you want to skip the dialogue, you can just fireball Hornet. And that starts the fight straight away.
Oven the dinner.
Funny enough, I managed to, whenever I first played this for the very first time, I managed to beat Hornet without dying, which I was quite proud of. Like in my very first ever playthrough. But I died to False Knight about like 3 times. So I felt like a real badass. Just watch out for attacks. Sometimes when she jumps up in the air, you don't know if she's going to do her little spool of yarn attack. So you want to stay away from that. Or she's going to dash towards you. But speaking of dash, once you fight her and once you beat her, you get the Mothwing Cloak or the dash ability. And then after the fight, if you save and quit, you'll go back to the Ancestral Mind. So if you equip the Shaman Stone,
all these cooking appliances.
No, Soul Catcher Charm. If you sat at that bench and equipped the Soul Catcher Charm, you'll warp back to the Ancestral Mind. Save and quits are allowed. You know, to go back to a bench that you previously sat at, or to reset an area, or to, like, you know, skip traveling. You cannot skip, or sorry, you cannot save and quit during the run if you are about to take damage. So if you're, you know, if you're falling into a pool of acid and you pause the game, you can't save and quit to avoid getting a hit. Or even the exploding green balls that we'll see in a little bit. I'll explain my process for that. As long as pretty much you're in a safe place to save and quit, and you're not in any immediate danger, you can do that. Explaining as well the rules, I suppose, of what constitutes as a hit or not. No hit and no damage. I initially thought at the very beginning when I started doing this run that they were interchangeable and that it was the exact same thing. But in terms of this game, just explaining as well, I'm making my way down through the Forgotten Crossroads towards Gru's Mother and Salubra. If you can get a strike on Gru's Mother, let me know. I've managed to do it off stream, and I managed to save the video footage.
I'm gonna get really lucky.
I haven't been able to do it again. But yeah, the difference between a hit and, or sorry, no hit and no damage.
Really?
No hit means that you cannot take any damage from enemies or the environments. But sorry, a hit is any instance of damage. If you're doing a damageless run like I was, you can't lower your health at all for any reason. So if you were just doing no hit, you can use the Fury of the Fallen charm. But the way Fury of the Fallen works is that you have to take damage. You have to get to 1 mask shard. So you must either state out loud, I am going to take damage, or I am going to set up Fury. Or if you're not speaking, if you don't have your camera, look up and down like 3 times or something really fast. Something that makes it clear that you're about to deliberately take damage to set up Fury of the Fallen, which gives you something like a 75% nil damage boost or something like that. I don't know. So yeah, we fight Gru's Mother here. We get rid of all the flies. And then we go into Salubra by Shaman Stone. And then save and quit. So we're back at the Ancestral Mind. And I did remember to equip Shaman Stone, which means I am now overcharmed. So if I take damage, I actually take double the mask shards. But you're also not allowed to block damage with the Balder Shell, if anybody's ever using the Balder Shell charm, or the Dream Shield, or the Carefree Melody. because those will count as a hit.
I really should have made the fart echo 50 bits.
So hence why I was doing no hit and no damage.
Still scareable. His best is -2 because of my scared.
So now we've got pretty much like half of the setup done already. We've got our fireball, we've got our dash.
No, that wasn't you that did that.
We've got two of the charms that we
Exactly
use.
what my 2 hits were.
I was initially, when I was talking earlier about the Geo, I was initially using this. I did play this on Steel Soul for a few times, but I collected enough Geo as it was. If you're on Steel Soul, you could go into Lake Eater here, and get Fragile Strength if you wanted that. But I've managed to just overcome and improvise without it, and just adapt to it, as Bear Grylls would probably do. But I do bench next to Leg Eater, because once we come down here, and my little strat for these guys, these 2 mushroom heads, I kill the little 3 mushroom boys in the middle. I let the first guy in the right wake up. He'll likely spit his Jaffa goop at you. And then I start going ham with the nail damage as much as I can.
Nice.
By stage, the second one on the left should probably have waken up.
Get dressed, Kaita.
And then I dodge away from the right one, fireball until the right one's done, and then I focus on the left one. So then that way your focus is only on one of the 2 mushroom guys at a time, and you're not caught trying to avoid 2 Jaffa goops instead of 1. But once you fight them, you pick up a charm notch, which is one of 2 that we collect. The second one we get from Solubra later on. As you can see here, the green little following balls. It's quite safe. It's quite common for people to save and quit there once they pick up that second item, which I think is another journal, which is another 200 Geo. It's quite common for people to save and quit there, even when there's a green ball there. I like to make sure anyway, and fireball the green thing, just so there's no ambiguity, if that's the right word. Just so there's no qualms that I'm clearly in a safe place to save and quit. So yeah, save and quit, you'll wake up back at the bench next to Leg Eater, and instead of going left towards where the mushroom boys were, we're now going right to get the mango claw, or the mantis claw.
It's just trying to figure out the right order that I should do things, so that it's the fast.
So we still have a little bit of other stuff to do for setting up Mantis Claw.
And I also want
a little while yet before we get our 3rd and final charm.
Apparently this is not a dream fight, so if I die to this
and
fight,
our fireball upgrade.
It's game over. I want to end by beating.
So we're making our way through Fungal Wastes. We've got about 700 Geo now, which is pretty plenty.
Under 20 hours.
As well as a bunch of items that will sell a lot later on. Mantis Village can be a bit of a problem, but with the 2 charms equipped, it makes all the mantises or mantis, don't know what the plural is. I think it makes them all one shot with the fireball. So if you're ever stuck, just know that they are one shot. I do like Mantis Village, one of my favorite areas of the game. It's pretty nice and chill, but if you're playing a casual playthrough and you take on the Mantis Lords, very cool reward for if you do so. So you want to go all the way down the bottom left and hit the lever.
Is that what it is?
Which opens the door right above for you to get to Mantis, or sorry, to get the Mantis Claw.
That I want to do things. Because I never even collected any of the Dreamers. Even though I knew I could do the fights.
Just take your time fighting each of the enemies one by one.
I did the Umu fight and I did the Watcher Knights. But I didn't collect the Dreamer. So, because I don't want the infected Crossroads.
Last of the flying mantises before we pick up the Mantis Claw.
What was the other thing? Yeah, I wanted to leave the Monarch Wings.
Which is a very cool
I
ability.
like the root for 100%.
As you can see, I talk a lot
Yeah,
of
that was fun.
nonsense in my streams.
So you go full Hulkins.
But if you do want to
Scare the
come
shit out of
and
people.
hang out during any of the streams, feel free to
I
do
mean,
so.
if your skin color is
Make
weird,
fun of me for being ginger and
I
Irish
mean,
and being a pretty bad gamer in general. So the Mantis Claw, we make our way up now to collect our third item. Which I think is a journal? Yes, another Wonders journal. Or was it a Hollow Nest seed
I
before?
remember there was like
I
one
can't remember.
Halloween
It's our
fun
third
with this
item
guy that I knew.
out of 4 that we collect
And,
before we get to sell
I
them
think he was
all.
in my, like, primary school class or something.
We collect 2 journals and 2
Um,
Hollow Nest seals.
His costume was I don't know the guy's actual name, but the guy.
So
with
we
the
want to make our
afro
way back
from the group.
back up the way we came.
I'm sexy, yeah, and I know it. That was his thing. So he had the sunglasses and he had the afro.
And we want to head right into this little bit of hardcore parkour to get in the City of Tears.
And then like these kind of like sparkly.
It's a bit tricky. Trying not to fall into the acid or get hit by the spikes, but it's pretty much the same button inputs each time. I could almost
Oh, so what's your costume?
do
I
it
don't know
blindfolded,
what this is.
but
No, I
I'm
don't
not
have his
going to
number.
because I'm not an idiot. So now we're into City of Tears, another great area, but for me it's been a result of many a hit. So I have quite quite not
it's
so
just like,
fond
oh,
memories
shit.
of this
And then
place.
he just ripped off the Velcro chargers, and it's just like,
These patrolling guys can give you a bit of trouble.
boy, that's not what I asked.
There are 3 movements that they like to do. They like to attack
jumpy
once,
today, piss
attack
off.
3 times, or jump backwards. And the jump backwards one is one that you've always got to be ready for, even if they've just attacked.
Just seeing someone get angry,
Sometimes they just like
scared
to
of them. Yeah, I'd be kind of scared
do
too.
the Casper slide
Not
and
gonna lie.
slide to the right or slide to the left. So you got to be ready for that. Pogo off the top of them if necessary.
It's like, oh, okay, right. I see now.
So you just want to bait them as much as you can.
Good boy.
Come down here, you can break this geocache for 30, 40 geo. 30.
Do we even need that amount of geo? I knew I could slide.
As we're now officially in City of Tears, instead of going right for the meantime, we go left,
I'm like,
and
I
we
don't
get our
think it's
nail
available.
upgrade,
Upgrade it now.
which is like 250, 300 geo or something. I can never remember the values. All I just know is that I have enough
Well,
at this
I tell you what,
stage.
it
I
was
have
fun doing,
910.
like, fights that I hadn't done in a
Yeah,
long
it's like
time.
250 geo.
Um,
And if you're
Steel Soul Run. I want to say no eyes.
picky about the numbers, or you're determined to figure out like the stats as well, like the numbers. Our base nail does 5 damage against enemies.
I got about 1,000.
With the upgrade,
So yeah.
our nail now does 9
But
damage.
usually up until.
And like I said earlier, I used to get a pale ore upgrade,
It's like, we've already got mango.
but I just learned to fight the enemies,
Usually up to
no
that
matter
point,
how small they were or how big they were,
it's the soul
with
warrior
a
fight and
smaller
the
nail
soul
upgrade.
master fight. And not
So I
even
used to
soul
go
master fight,
to
it's like the
Crystal
section
Peaks and
after
rely a
soul
lot
master
on
fight. Which
skips
is kinda
to get
why
to
I was
the pale ore upgrade, because I think you need the monarch wings. Otherwise, you can do some tricky kind of skip.
swapping those about as of like last week.
Um,
Exactly. I know, drama.
Chat was just going mental with its sound alerts, as they always do. Never a dull moment, that's for sure. It's always a lot of fun.
Fucking jumpy today.
Yeah, I was complaining about those guys being so
Thanks, Leon.
so weird and erratic.
Because I could
They
do
love
one
to
or the
jump
other,
backwards during this
but
run.
either
This
way,
guy
I
here,
have, like,
don't
that
go for the
issue
item
on
straight away. There's a flying
Whichever
dude.
one of those
You want to hit
ones
him
I do
3
first.
times
So
before
I
he's
think
dead.
this time I'll just do
And then
soul
pick
warrior
up the
first.
4th and
I'm gonna
final
get hit.
item.
I'm gonna get hit.
As we quickly go and make our way to sell all of our items.
Thank you, Julia. Hi.
This guy as well, this big massive guy, he does 2 attacks. He'll just kind of jog and swipe down, or he'll charge at you. You want him to charge at you, just so it's nice and easy to jump over the top of him. If he does his like jog and downswing, even if you try and jump over the top of him, there's a chance that you can still get hit. So if he doesn't charge at you initially, just leave the screen, come back, hope that he does it. And then we drop down into the shop, sell all our items for a nice handy 1300 geo. I think it's 1300. Yeah, 1300. 2 seals at 200 each is 400, and the 2 Hornet seals at 450 each is a nice 1300. And then if you're really stuck for geo, there's another cache to the left of the shop. I usually have about 1900 to 2000 geo at this stage, which is more than enough. Like I said earlier, you only need 1850 to progress any further. These guys with the lances, they always give me some trouble. They are like snipers. Fireball and a nail quickly disposes of them. So that's why I kind of fireball them and then dash towards them and get the nail hit them before they do any kind of attack.
And makes the occasional funny and gets laughed at.
So it just gives them just enough time just to get rid of them before they even think about doing anything towards you.
Oh, thanks very much, Shadow. Appreciate it. Probably get some more soul. The occasional funny is missing. Kaita, you're going the right way for a bop.
So now we're making our way through, or on up, I should say, closer to Soul Sanctum.
Where would I be with
In this kind of arena with the spell twisters, depending on where they spawn, sometimes you can get a double hit like I did there now, which is always nice. So you want to make sure you've got full soul, because they do like to teleport quite a lot. So if you hit one the first time, and then they teleport, at least you're ready to get the third fireball, that provided of course that you miss your second one. So continue on. We go left, break that wall, and carry on through past Soot into this little tricky area with the platforms. I opened that door, which turned out to be a bit of a lifesaver. That guy with the lance and the spear, I try and aggro him and then hit him into the spikes on the right hand side, which will insta-kill him. If that doesn't work, just try and stay with the platform in the middle of the two of you and try and attack as we make our way now into the King's Station stag, I think it is. No, City Storeroom stag. And we want to head back into Dirtmouth.
The Metropolitan Police.
So yeah, it's a bit of a tricky area, that screen with the platforms jumping from all the way from the bottom to the top. But if you follow that pattern exactly, because there's 3 of the flying dudes, you only fight 2 of them.
Kaite's definition of Love Island is just some random island.
So
just like
you make your way to Dirtmouth. Go into Sly, and with our stonks of geo, we want to buy the lantern. And that's the biggest spend of the game. A couple of stags that we have to buy as well. An extra charm notch.
That is the worst thing I've ever heard.
I think that's it really. That's all we have to buy.
You always put to the with that song.
But we collect enough geo as it is, fighting all the basic enemies on the way throughout the game, that we don't have to worry too much. It's the 1850 that's the biggest hurdle financially. But after that, it shouldn't be an issue. So now we're going up now as we head into Crystal Peaks.
That's a really loud fart and he's just sitting there just going, don't know who it was. It wasn't me.
Crystal Peaks is a bit of a It's a bit of a tough area. It's a good test of your parkour skills and basic platforming.
I think that's
And of course your timing and things like that. If you don't like how something's going, particularly with the enemies,
Whoever made that sound anyway.
again, you can just leave the
Whoever's
screen
the owner of that fart got
and
pissed
come back.
and their stinky boils.
I know I said earlier that, you know, it was about maybe less than a year ago since I started playing this game. I still have yet to complete this game fully. I think I'm like up to maybe 109% maybe. I think 109, 110%. Out of 112. Here was another kind of sketchy moment. I missed that kind of gap in the floor. And the little crystal digger dude nearly hit me with a pickaxe. I'm telling you, this is one of the memeiest runs I've ever had. And I make quite a few more boo-boos. And I have a few very scary and sketchy moments.
They're not muted, I swear. It did show.
Here was having a bit of issues with the sound alerts.
I didn't hear it.
So I'm just going to skip ahead.
Sorry, don't know what gave moved me there now. I just felt compelled.
So this screen here, you can take a quicker way up to the left. But there I do a little bit of a background pogo to avoid the pickaxe dude.
I do that, whenever someone requests that, I think
These guys with the lasers have given me trouble throughout the entirety of the Crystal Peaks area.
Okay.
So really the best advice I would just say is just take your time. You're not in a rush. You're not in any rush. It's not a speed run. Which is one of the main reasons I prefer no hits to speed runs. Here's one of the first main background pogos that I do throughout the game. There's like a barrel, which is like the tallest one right below that ledge. You kind of want to jump up as high as you can. Hit the top of it, dash to the wall to the right. And bit of practice, you can get there. You want to pick up that item, which is a King's Idol, which is worth 800 geo. Which is very important later on. This part here, these three guys have always given me trouble too. Sometimes their lasers like to shoot through the wall. Even though I'm on the other side, or through a solid platform. Sometimes the lasers can still hit you. So I make sure and try and get rid of the two of them. The bottom and the middle one at the same time with the same fireball. So I only have the one to worry about.
Oh, that was funny. That was.
I like to stop and talk to Quirrell along the way. He was kind of like my spirit guide, we'll say. So the 800 geo that we get for selling the King's Idol is used to buy the Elegant Key, which we need to get into the Soul Warrior fight. So even though I said that I don't have any issues with geo, I just like to make sure. So I haven't root it without King's Idol. You could probably collect enough geo as it is, but you know, it's there, it's free, why not? This is probably the beginning of the hard parkour part that requires a bit of concentration, bit of focus, bit of timing. Like I said, take your time. Unless you're trying to do this hitless and speedrun at the same time, then, you know, go for it. You're a better gamer than me, that's for sure. The double lasers, I just like to wait until they both fire at the same time. And you have a bit more time than you think whenever you're jumping from platform to platform trying to avoid the lasers. It can get a bit ingrained in your head. Nice. Not just that area, but the entirety of the run. So much so that, you know, when someone asks why I do a certain thing, I sometimes forget. I forget why I do certain things. But after the parkour, we collect the Crystal Dash, another one of our upgrades. and we save and quit. Now, I should have, before we were at,
I forgot the bench of Forgotten Crossroads.
as you could probably have
Shit
heard,
on it.
I should have benched at Forgotten Crossroads.
I benched here.
I can't remember what part of the video that was should have been, but it was when we were at Forgotten Crossroads.
Oh Christ!
Recently.
I forget
That
where I am.
I should have benched, which means that we just go down to Salubra and then
Did I
to
go
get easier to get the Dream Nail.
I can't remember now. I don't know where I am.
But I forgot that the last bench I sat at was the Quarrel bench in City of Tears. So I was kind of panicking at this stage. This was when I knew that I was making a lot of mistakes. And I think this is the first time I've ever done this.
Oh fuck! I've no soul either for these guys.
So I was kind of thinking, well, what the hell do I do? I could have carried on the way I was going, towards the shop, and then up, and then
No, wait.
left where
Hold on.
Zoot was.
Let me just double check.
But I pull up a map just to remind myself as to where I was whenever I started the game up a bit.
Am I going the right way here?
So that door that I opened in those sketchy platforms,
Hang on. Enjoy Set of Tears music for a moment. Where's the store?
it was a bit of a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Because it allowed us to get to where we needed to go a little bit quicker.
Fucking hell.
We added about maybe 3 or 4 minutes onto the run,
Me.
but like I keep saying, it's not a speed run. We don't have to worry about the time. Usually you can get this done in about maybe, I think when I was starting to get like the PBs and stuff, I was getting about maybe an hour and 50, 140. But I was adding a lot to the run. Like I said earlier, I was getting the massive moss charger for a lot of extra geo,
Go up, couldn't we?
as well as a pillar upgrade, which added about maybe half an hour or so.
Yeah, we'll do that. Right,
But even with D-Dive, which is not
No,
totally
there is.
necessary,
Okay, right.
I think I
Good.
completed this run about an hour and 30.
Good.
But the fastest I ever done it was about maybe an hour and 23, an hour and 24. So if you're hitting the hour and 30 mark, you're doing the run pretty much fast enough, I'd say, at this stage. Yeah, here I kind of remembered what I had to do and where I had to go.
This is so risky.
I could have just
So risky.
saved and quit again. To sit back at the bench, avoid that little fight, but me and my two-head didn't think of that one. So I'm actually making my way back up this way, which is kind of a roundabout way as to how I should have done this. As we're kind of doing the screen in reverse, which I don't think I've ever done before.
Come here.
So as you can see how sketchy I'm making this look.
Ah yes, beside open the door up there.
I don't know what made me think to open the door. I think
Big brain.
the reason I opened that door was because sometimes
This way. No, wait. Do we go this way?
the guy that's
We don't get
above,
the bench just yet, do we? We
Um,
don't get the bench just yet.
if he starts throwing his
Okay.
spears, I want to
We're
reset
here,
the
back on
scene.
track. Don't worry about it.
So it's quicker to go off to the left than it is to go all the way to the right,
So I forgot what I had to do.
and risk getting sniped by this guy, we'll say. So by opening the door to the left, I can
Okay,
just
back
reset
on
that
track.
scene a bit earlier and try again.
I was either gonna like.
But now I'm kind of back on track as to where I should be.
From that bench that I was at.
We want to go to Forgotten Crossroads. We want to go to near Salubra. We don't go quite into Salubra just yet.
And then up and left, which didn't make any sense.
So I should have benched there,
Right.
but I didn't, because I'm a pea brain.
Time to get the D.
So we're going back to the arena where the Gru's mother fight is.
Gonna get some dicks.
You wanna cling onto this wall, crystal dash.
Does that kind of
Nice little skip
or is it just me?
as we go across the blue lake.
Kind of like it sounds like it's good. Dicks.
As we head our way now to get the dream nail. So we're kind of approaching about maybe halfway through the run at this stage.
Bonk, which I got rid of, and then sometimes it was like that.
I always like to make sure that I've got even just a tiny bit of soul for this part. Just a tiny bit's enough.
It's supposed to be. Okay.
So we go through this little cutscene to get into our first dream sequence. It's also worth pointing out that all the dream sequences, so if you're ever doing, if you're, you know, have no sanity, whatever, and you want to try and do the true ending run, which 2 people so far have ever done, that was it. You'll be in a lot of these dream sequences, these kind of floaty platforms. It's worth noting that if you're doing a no-hit run, if you fall off any of these platforms, even though you won't take damage, it will still count as a hit. That's just the rules that's been set for from Team Hitless with regards to what constitutes as a hit or not. So yeah, don't fall off. Take your time. So yeah, I prefer, don't get me wrong, speedruns are very, very good to watch. Quite a fan of games done quickly and how people can just speedrun any game effortlessly.
I think for the Soul Warrior fight, I will mute the words, just in case.
But I'm not that competitive when it comes to comparing times with other people. I prefer no-hit runs because it's more of a test of my own skill. You either get it or you don't. So the only person you're really kind of competing against is yourself. You're trying to better yourself, which I'm more of a fan of, to be honest. So after we wake up, getting the dream nail outside Seer, you want to drop down into this little entrance to the left and collect the dream shield, which should have been my 5th charm, but as we'll find out, it wasn't. The first charm I should have picked was actually Fury of the Fallen, way back in King's Cross. I think that's the name of it. Way back at the very beginning of the game. But I forgot to pick it up. So yet another mistake. Even though I don't use Fury of the Fallen, we need to collect 5 charms so we can pick, or so we can buy a charm notch from Solubra, which would be the 2nd charm notch.
I didn't mean to say rise up, like, you know, rise up that way. See?
Which means with Shaman Stone and Soul Catcher equipped and the 2 extra charms, we wouldn't be overcharmed. However, we get a 3rd charm later on once we're back in Soul Sanctum.
I'm fucking hilarious. Well, you're the streamer. I know. I need to be.
Just want to carefully make your way down, avoiding all these enemies. Again, the patrolling guys. Nice little 4 times multi-kill. Gotta love it. Once I entered King Station here, I kind of dropped down and made my way across, but you can actually just go to this top left kind of platform, crystal dash across. Again, if you're stuck for Geo, I did this just to make sure that I had enough. I go into this little room and take on the gorgeous husk.
I've got an auto queue next to me.
Which is a nice 420 Geo.
This guy right next to me.
So you want to make sure, just age forward into this platform. The screen will light up before you drop down, just in case it happens to be the gorgeous husk happens to be, you know, very, very close to you. Because sometimes it likes to.
I've actually got Jimmy Kimmel sitting next to me.
It likes to not get knocked back when you nail it, and sometimes then it will just jump and sit on your face. which is not a good thing.
It's funny because...
So yeah, 420 geo, if you ever need it, it's nice and easy.
He's playing Hornet as well. I told him specifically through content until the 25th of August.
I usually don't need the extra geo, but like I said,
And then on that day we get
it's there if you want to.
Alexa,
Pretty free, and it's on the way.
What day?
Might as well.
25th of August.
August 25th falls on a Wednesday, 24 days from today.
Oh yeah, 24 days. That's more than enough time to throw. I don't have him.
So yeah, if you make a lot of mistakes like I do,
People,
worth collecting.
people G, whatever it is.
You want to hit that lever and open the door. You definitely need to do it.
My ass is safe.
Definitely need to do
It
it.
is a safe place. The only things that get out of my ass
And then you go through this little cutscene with Hornet, and then we continue up towards the shop as we sell our King's Idol for a nice, handy 800 geo.
Right, you don't need to ask me twice. Why does it do
Still having issues with
that? Why does it do that?
the sound alerts and the alert box doubling in OBS because I'm such a professional streamer, of course.
Why do they do that?
Skipped ahead here again. Still didn't quite fix the issue though. So like I said, we want to head back up to the shop. And like I said as well, chat was absolutely mental. They're so supportive.
They're calling it a Guinness World Record.
They just like to make fun of me at my expense, but I'm the one that makes money off it at the end of the day. I'm joking. So yeah, once we do that, I think that's the last time that we go to the shopkeeper. So we're going back up through
Don't know what to say.
City of Tears,
Don't know how to fix it.
familiar territory once again,
Yeah, because the sound that goes through the alert box.
for a nice 800
and
geo.
then it goes through
1500 at this
audio
stage
as
is
well.
way too much. I think if you had 1,000, you might be fine as well.
I'm sorry. Just don't.
So I was in City of Tears for way longer than I would have liked to have been.
Don't do any of that.
That's for sure.
Fine. And then it'll make it look like I'm a good streamer. No
So
promises. Damn it.
I'm now making my way up to the Coral Bench again. Sorry, not the Coral Bench. The bench right before the Soul Warrior fight.
Can I push Streamlabs to another?
And
Oh, that'll
here's
be like
another
a-
one of these
the
mistakes.
computer set
Pay
itself
attention
up.
very closely.
I'll need to look it up. I'll need to spend some time to look at it.
Yeah, I paid for the bench, but I didn't sit on it.
Streamlabs.
I'm telling you, it's the memeiest run
Yes.
I've ever had
Oh,
without taking any meme hits. So yeah, 150 geo for that bench. I pay for that bench and I should sit on it.
Telling you, these guys are actually
So that
weird,
once
like,
I make my way back to
so these guys
Dirtmouth
are not the frickin'
and
goats.
buy the Elegant Key off Sly and go to Salubra
I'll
and get my Charm Notch,
But it's weird because, like, well, maybe it's because it's that loud. I don't notice.
it was then I realized that I didn't bench at the, or sorry, I should have saved and quit, so I'm right there at the Soul Warrior fight,
It's just the text to speech in the the alert box. It's like the
but that didn't happen.
text.
As you'll see. And if you're paying any attention, can anyone guess which bench that I wake up at next? You'll find out now in about 30 seconds. So yeah, head to Sly, buy the Elegant Key. We need that to get into the Soul Warrior fight.
Multiple sources for alerts. See, that's what
I don't know why it popped into
a
a Zelda. I think I just wanted to hear good old Babanada, because it's been a while since I've heard it.
See, it didn't double there now. But maybe it's just because the sound is like a wee bit, I don't know, different. I don't know. Have no clue.
I usually have 4 charms, I think, at this stage. I think I said it was 5th charm. But I think I usually get... Yeah, I should usually have 3 charms. Or is it 4 charms? I think I usually have 4 charms and then I buy 1 charm. So that I have enough charms bought to get the Charm Notch from Solubra. Like I said, I get plenty of Geo as it is, so it doesn't matter if I get an extra charm from Sly, the Wayward Compass from Zelda, or any of the charms that Solubra does. And here you can see if I'm pondering whether or not I sat at the bench at City of Tears, the toll bench before the Soul Master fight.
I didn't bench.
And I didn't bench. I realised then I didn't do it. And here you'll see me make the mistake about the charms. Because I'm just going in expecting to buy Charm Notch,
No idea.
and it's grayed out. And I'm like, what's going on?
I didn't even pick up Fury.
So yeah, I didn't pick up Fury. So I had to buy the cheapest charm, 120.
I missed Fury. I missed a bench twice.
So
No way, this is
it's a little bit unbelievable that this was the run.
Right, what? See what happens now and save and quit. Where am I?
So
Am I back at the Coral bench?
yeah, any guesses as to see which bench I wake up at? Yep, back at the Coral bench.
Okay, that's fine.
But at least, you know, I done this earlier, so I can do it again.
They're the most meaniest run ever. Every boss fight's going to be so sketch and so many close calls.
It was just scuffed or bodged, as I like to say. But like I said, it was the same as earlier, just a couple of extra minutes added on. I would have been interested to see how fast this run actually was if I didn't make any of the mistakes here and nearly get hit again. It'd be interesting to see how long the run could have taken if I didn't make so many goddamn
right.
mistakes.
Some enemies will not have respawned.
So here we don't have to go up through the platforming area, we just crystal dash all the way right to the bench that I should have saved and quit and woke up at. But I wanted to make sure I got my geos worth, so I sat at the bench, even though I don't need to now. But all the stupid dumb mistakes, well, most of them are the way. We're now in the kind of the second part of the run, which is more so the boss rush mode. And the Soul Warrior fight was probably the one that, at this point in the run, the difficulty curve does spike. You know, in practice, I would have done this fight and I would get this clean regularly. In runs, it was kind of like, I don't know why I'm finding this fight quite hard. I could give a few tips as to, like, you know, how to do this fight. There's better players out there than me, and there's probably way more detailed guides. You want to make sure you keep the ghosts at bay. Get your nail damage off the Soul Warrior guy in the bottom. Watch out for his little soul attacks and his teleport and stuff. And then with your fireball, as you can see, I do a little jump.
You're my fucking bitch.
I was quite stoked. I was quite stoked to get that fight because that fight
Fucking
never
yes.
fails to make my heart race during a run. I do a little jump off the ground just to make sure that I get the ghost and the warrior with the same fireball. The ghosts with the current charm setup, the ghosts are a one-hit kill with a fireball. And you wanna try and do this fight as quickly as you can because the ghosts do not stop coming. I think they give they stop at about maybe 32 or something. I think I read that number somewhere. But yeah, kill that Java Eye bald headed so and so. And then we get our Shade Soul or the Fireball upgrade. Which is such a good upgrade. Really, really satisfying. As we delve deeper now into Soul Sanctum. And these guys that teleport, once you know where they spawn, you can just be ready for them. But with our Shade Soul, they are now a one hit rather than a two. I think it's 2 or 2 and a nail. And we can continue up into a slightly weaker, I think it's weaker, easier, we'll say, easier Soul Warrior fight. No ghosts spawn. That's the only difference. So with that, you would think that the game intends you to do this part first. Do Soul Sanctum and then do the Soul Warrior fight. But
No worries, Kaita.
the Meme Sanctum and the John Cena splits, they could be swapped around. It's up to you if you want to get the Fireball upgrade first to make Soul Sanctum easier, or if you want to get D-Dive and make the Soul Warrior fight to get the Fireball upgrade a lot easier. I personally chose the Soul Warrior fight first before D-Dive. So we do Soul Sanctum not only for the D-Dive upgrade to get the Soul Master fight, but we also get the third and final charm, which is the Spell Twister, which does help a lot, collecting a lot more soul off enemies in this kind of attic. Pray for good RNG here that the ghosts and the ones that fly and the ones that spawn on the ground behave themselves. Spawn when you expect them to. I kind of retreat a little bit at a time, just so I don't get cornered or trapped. Pick up the charm. Usually 1 or 2 more spawn after that. And that's the Meme Sanctum split done, pretty much. And as you may have noticed there, I put the little text above my head saying that I wasn't looking at the chat. So I was less engaged with chat as I was before. And I muted all the sound alerts. But I do pop in now and again to say hi, and I'm still live. Heart's still beating at about maybe 150 BPM at this stage. Wish I had a heart rate monitor, actually. That would have been quite interesting to see. Now we're in the John Cena split. Soul Master split, or Soul Master fight. It's pretty easy. I know I struggled with this one for quite a while. First time I played this, actually, I want to say like maybe I spent, I'd say, a good couple of hours doing this fight. And I think the clip is on my Twitch channel somewhere. Good 5 minutes of it. It was so bad. I don't profess to be the greatest player. But the fight took so long. But yeah, the Soul Warrior was probably the hardest one, right up until the very end, in terms of practice and overcoming the difficulty curve. The second phase of the Soul Master fight, you want to make sure that you're kind of in the air or far away from his D-Dive attack, so you don't get hit. If you're confident or if you're good enough, you can jump up as he's diving down and get the nil hits in. What I like to do for his second phase is get some soul and hits off this guy.
Fuck me.
I was quite panicking now at this stage because never usually goes to second phase,
Jesus,
but it's not too hard. I was gonna dash underneath him and start up slashing him, but as I got to that spot, as I was saying there, the yellow soul attacks spawned there, so I was focusing more on avoiding them rather than getting the hits in. So that was probably one of the biggest tips I ever got when I was playing a game, especially when you're fighting bosses. Focus more on dodging the enemies rather than attacking them, because you can only take a few hits before you die, even with, you know, all the health upgrades. So you do that, you'll last in the fight a bit longer. This is probably the scariest part of the John Cena split, and requires good RNG. And that's when you D-dive into this cellar here. There's like a hidden, there's like a little hidden platform on the top left or in the bottom left somewhere. Depending on what way the ghosts spawn above me or above you whenever you hit the ground, can tell whether or not you should probably go to that platform or not. But that comes with repetition. But once I got rid of those 3 or so that spawned in the air, and I de-dived the ones that are on the ground, all the other ghosts, all the ones in the, or the mistakes, or whatever their proper name is, I forget what it is, I just take them one at a time. Like I said, you're not in any rush. So you just want to carefully make your way through. So the reason I get D-Dive was to make the Watcher Knights fight a lot easier. And not just in terms of damage, but also in terms of like the invincibility frames or iframes.
That is the big choking here.
There's a lot of instances in the Watcher Knights fight, which you'll see coming up, where I'm in between the two of them at once. And one likes to do the roll attack and one likes to do their bouncy attack. And instead of trying to, you know, predict which way or guess which way is the safest way, they'll both attack and go through me.
John Cena?
So I use the D-Dive just to get that little bit of extra damage in. Always check that you've got your soul. And the invincibility frame so that you have time for the enemies to pass through you, for you to then, you know, start attacking or move whichever way. But yeah, I was so happy at this stage that I was able to get clean Soul Sanctum, both Soul Warrior and Soul Master. The Soul Master fight was, once I eventually beat the Soul Master in my casual playthrough, I remember distinctly saying at that stage that, kind of jokingly, that I would try and play this game and complete it hitless, even though I hadn't even completed the game normally, like at any percent at that stage. But yeah, kind of jokingly. So Soul Master is a bit of a soft spot in my heart. Here is a second background Pogo, same as the first one in Crystal Peaks. And this screen alone takes a bit of time. The first guy will either run towards you or run away from you. If he runs towards you, nail hit him. If he runs away, leave him. But the kind of stuff that's right behind me right now, you don't want to break that. As you'll see now. So I kind of, sometimes I use that to pogo. You can jump up normally, but sometimes I just pogo off the background there to provoke the fly. There's two above. One has the regular nail, the other has the spear. You don't want to provoke the one that's got the spear, because that's just going to give you a lot of trouble. But yeah, I use the Dream Nail, farm a lot of soul off the guys down below. Try not to kill the one that does their swipey attack. Because you can use the Shade Soul to kill the patrolling guy who's blocking the way, to hit the switch to open the door. As you can see then, it's pretty straightforward.
Oh.
And I go up to the left and I bench. And this is when I equip Spell Twister. Unequip one of the charms. And equip Spell Twister. So those are my 3 charms that I have for the rest of the run. And pretty much the best charms you could probably have in an 90% run, I'd say. You could probably survive without Soul Twister or Spell Twister. I always get those two mixed up. But now we're making our way up to Watcher Knights, and you can probably tell at this stage that I'm starting to breathe a lot heavily. I was getting really nervous, and yeah, the heart rate was starting to go. So before the Watcher Knights fight, a little secret. Some people still don't know this to this day. You can break that wall to go up and knock down that chandelier, which makes the Watcher Knights fight go from 6 enemies to 5, which is a big help, especially with how much of a piece of poo this fight is. Trying to use words very politely. So yeah, Watcher Knights was a very tough fight as well. Like probably the second hardest in terms of my baseline. In terms of getting the nail hits in, the Watcher Knights themselves, especially at the very beginning, the first guy, he won't do any more than 3 attacks, like 3 nail swing attacks. So his nail swing attacks is like swipe. As you can see, I used the D-dive there as a nice panic button, and that was a very close call there. So close to getting hit. The first Watcher Knight can attack with his nail, but they don't attack with their nails any more than 3 times in a row. That was something that I learned from just repeating the fight over and over again, and I never seen anybody else say that before. And with the Shade Soul ability too, you can get a lot of double hits, especially when the enemies are rolling away from you. When they do the roll attack, you can see that you can get double hits, sometimes even triple hits, if you time it quite right or get a bit lucky. And with the nail hits, you can actually time it so that if they've got their back to you, once they do their, say, bouncy attack, you can actually get 3 hits in compared to 2 when they're facing. So if you can attack them from behind, you can get an extra hit, we'll say, per attack. But yeah, beat of this fight, I think I made it look quite easy. I think I used D-dive maybe twice in that fight. Once we do that, we go up and then we collect our first Dreamer. The 3 of which that we need to collect in order to beat or to get access to THK fight. So this is when I was starting to run or realize that this is getting pretty real. Always nervous going into the Watcher Knights fight, even if I've taken a hit before. But it is super satisfying once you get the practice in. It does take a little bit of time. But what I did I didn't do this for all the bosses because I knew that I was making a lot of progress. But I did this for THK was I had an Excel spreadsheet and I practiced the fight, I'd say maybe 100 times, not in a row, but 20 or 30 times, came back, did it another time, 20 or 30 times. I just recorded how many hits I took and kind of graphed my progress, and it was kind of like a steady decline, some ups and downs, but it was like a steady decline in the number of hits. Eventually then I was getting like zeros. So it's good to monitor your progress. So even if you feel like you're still practicing bosses and getting hits,
did I go for the risky D-dive?
I could go into more detail with the Watcher Knights fight. If that's something that someone wants, let me know and I'll look into making a more detailed fight, because there's things about that fight that I had to learn. I never seen any video or no one told me about it. Coming back down from the Watcher Knights fight was a bit sketchy as well. There's the safe way, nods head, and there's the safe way, shakes head. I went for the no, this is not safe at all, which was going down the right hand side, because I didn't want to aggro the flies in the middle.
Could you fucking charge at me, please?
So I was kind of hoping that guy would charge at me, and then it would have been easier to get down from the right hand side and avoid the flies in the first place. But here I just decided, you know what, screw it. I'll D-dive down, dash across. And that guy decided to run at me, and that was so close. Like pixels from getting hit. And that's why I don't call that the safe way. The other way I find is the safer way, but...
I call it the safer way because there's one less enemy. Or there's a less...
But yeah. Eventually got down,
hard one,
somehow.
big guy.
We make our way across Crystal Dash over
What he's going to do.
this part of City of Tears
Whether he just like run at you.
into
or
King's Station.
Full on charges.
And we want to get the stag, pay for the stag station, 300 geo. Back up to Dirtmouth. Like I said, you should have plenty at this stage. And I think that's the second last stag we buy. The last one being in lovely, lovely Deep Nest. So now we're going to do the asset skip. And out of everything in this run that I thought was going to stop me, asset skip was probably going to be is one of those ones that I was quite apprehensive about, but I tried my best not to think about it. There, once you drop down in the Forgotten Crossroads, you can just crystal dash left. You can avoid the exploding fly. And then if you make your way into the middle of those platforms, D-dive down, because sometimes the flies like to spit their orange Jaffa goop poop every like second or so. So with the iframes after the D-dive, if any of them happen to fly above and drop any of their Jaffa goop poop or whatever you want to call it, you can avoid it, but you're right next to the drop down. Acid skip made it look easy. It's not easy.
Come on!
And I was so excited.
Fucking go!
I was so pumped at this stage. I was not even. I didn't even go. Okay, right. I've acid skip. Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. I didn't even think that. I was just like, okay, right. We're just doing it. Right. We're just whatever happens happens. And I used to follow a kind of pattern, going off the platforms further up from the acid skip itself. I used to follow a rhythm of going like bop 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 bop, and the fourth bop was like clinging to the wall. So that was kind of how I did it, but then I practiced it a bit differently, and I stood in a specific part of the platform, and then I just retrained my muscle memory to know when to cling onto the wall to do the acid skip. So as you can see, I took a charm off before acid skip, and then I put it back on. That was just so that if I did manage to take a hit in acid skip, that I would only take one mass shard of damage, which meant I could do acid skip like 4 times before I would have to heal instead of like 2 times. But I put it back on here. That's all I was doing here. But yeah, you could probably practice acid skip. I'd say a good 200 times before you eventually get it. But you can get it. It's just practice. Just time, patience, and practice. And if you're like me, you have a very short temper, so you have no patience. And if you happen to be working or in education, or you lead a very busy lifestyle, then you don't have the time. So it requires a lot more practice to make up for that. But yeah, I was quite happy with that. And I was doing acid skip on console, so I had to retrain my muscle memory in the first place, going to PC, and having to adapt to a new platform basically. So now we are in the teacher's archives, into the Umu, second last boss fight. It's pretty easy, but it's also very easy to make a mistake. The key thing to know is, this is something I didn't find out until much later in my runs, was that Umu doesn't do the same attack more than twice. So there's 2 attacks that it does. It does the scatter attack, which is that one. Or it does the follow attack, where it leaves a trail of electric behind where you go. Usually about 8 of those. It does 3 usually on its first cycle. Sometimes it does 4. And then every subsequent cycle it does 2. But occasionally it does 3.
No.
I got greedy there. I was trying to go for the 1 cycle. Bodged it up. But I did quite a bit of damage anyway. I'd highly recommend looking up a guide for Umu. So as you can see, I got a good few double hits with a upgraded fireball attack.
I think I was quite fortunate there.
As the upgraded fireball's hitbox is so big in the first place that you can get quite a lot of double hits off the bigger enemies like Umu, Watcher Knights, a lot of other bosses and stuff. And then we do a little bit of crystal dash and parkour to get to the second dreamer. Just about knowing the attacks that Umu does. I can't remember now offhand which one it is, but out of the scatter attack and the follow attack, one of those takes a few milliseconds longer to appear on screen. So once you know how quickly the attacks begin in the first place, you'll be ready to move. And then with the scatter attack, there's certain areas in the arena that you can stand, and the electrics will never spawn. They're somewhat random, but there's a lot of places, there's quite a few places actually, that you can stand on the platforms or cling to the walls, and you'll be guaranteed 100% safe. But like I said, you can find guides. I had to watch one to learn the ins and outs about Umu. So now we're just carefully making our way back out of Teacher's Archives. I should have said earlier as well about the Fall Canyon, and I suppose I should say it here. Don't rush your movements. Like, you're not in any rush to go anywhere. Yes, you want to beat the game. Yes, you don't want to spend hours at it. But if you're going up and down and you don't know where you're going, use the right analog stick if you're using a controller to look where you're going before you go. It's like looking both ways across the road. Some people still don't do it. But once you make your way out of Teacher's Archives, we're into the lovely place, the lovely deep, dark, deep nest. Once we have a bit more of Fog Canyon to do. The little the little jellyfish, I should say. You can hit the little ones; they'll give you soul. Don't hit the big ones. Whatever you do, don't hit the big ones. just don't do it. That's all I'm gonna say. So now we're back in the fungal wastes where we were way back at the very beginning of the game. Getting near the end now. We're just waiting for that spore shroom guy to go. And I started trying to make sure that I had enough soul, or full soul at this stage, before I go into Deep Nest. Because it's very likely that we'll need it.
Second little balloon.
So you want a crystal dash here. There's a secret entrance here
Screen then gives me a bit of anxiety.
to get into Deep Nest.
Here we go.
Deep Nest is pretty comfy, as it's just really a run section, kind of like the way Crystal Peaks is. Requires a bit of muscle memory, but once you're comfy with the route and you know where to go, where to drop down, where to jump up to, where the enemies are, or where the enemies are likely to be, it can get quite comfy. It's kind of like Crystal Peaks, but it's harder because you can't see crap. This screen and this screen is probably the more difficult ones because of those things that pop up out of the ground. Once you know the pattern, or once you know where the garpies, which is the big massive things that go through the screens, once you know where they're coming from and how fast they spawn, or how fast they move, you just want to make sure that you're not caught with those. The first two screens, like I said, are quite difficult. Because those things can pop out of the ground. Sometimes they don't. I've had runs before. I've had practice runs where none of them have appeared. And you get other ones where every opportunity that one can appear, they do appear. So that's why I make sure I go in with full soul. They take about 3 nail hits, but after like the second one, they'd like to do their jump attack. But I just fireball them. With the spell twister and the current charm setup, you can fire 4 fireballs at once before your soul's depleted. So you've got enough, but you can gain your soul back from attacking the other husks and spiders in the area as you make your way through. Just knowing where to jump, where the enemies are. The big enemies, however, that we'll see more of. I forget the name of them. The Devoutes, that's what they're called. They take 3 fireballs to kill, but sometimes, because they're so big and chunky, they occasionally take 2. You might get the occasional double hit off one of the fireballs. Just take your time. Don't need to rush. See here, I could have had time to jump to that platform, but I know that there's a spider that comes from the background. So I just want to make sure that I have enough time to get where I'm going. Even though I kind of rush this part. Like I said, it's just repetition and practice at this stage. And it's pretty narrow, that little spider in the wall. I wouldn't try nailing him. You can fireball him through the wall. The upgraded fireball can shoot through walls and objects, whereas the base fireball cannot. And now we've got the we do a little bit of parkour, and that's the first half of Deep Nest done. As we sit at the trap bench. So yeah, the big guys, the big spiders, the Devoutes, you don't want to face those with your nails. That's asking for trouble. Get your nail hits, your soul off the other smaller enemies. Fire your fireball. See, as you can see there, I fired 3 fireballs, but the second one got a double hit. Which can happen. And with the spell twister, it just means that you collect a lot more soul. Heart rate getting astronomically high at this point. And the spiders that cling along the walls and the ceilings like that, they'll take 2 hits at this stage. But you want to be in a position where you're kind of hiding around the corner, or you're out of sight from them, because they like to spit their orange goo at you. This guy was a bit of a trouble, so I just fireball him. So I know I can avoid it. I know I can not nail hit him. As you can see, I still have full soul at this stage. Rescue the grub for good luck. Because grubs are precious. Don't let anybody else tell you any different. This second last devout, you've got quite a bit of ceiling space. So what I like to do is aggro him until he does his like little attack. So So once you see his face kind of separate and starting to attack towards you, you can jump up over top of him, pogo on top of him if you want to make sure you clear him. And then you can get past him. And with full soul, you can take on the last devout, blocking the last dreamer. The third and final one. If you don't have enough soul for that last devout that's guarding the dreamer, you can go left instead, which I will now. To the bench, you can save and quit, come back up, dream nail the one that I just pogoed over. You can dream nail it from behind, and you won't provoke it at all. You can get your full soul and then kill the one that's blocking the dreamer. I used to do that until I realized that I can skip the second last one. There's also a geocache in that path as well. If you're ever stuck for geo, but as you can see, I've got 700 odd geo. I think I have enough to get home. I think I have enough. I'm back. So yeah, 250 geo, the last stag station, last thing we have to buy. I'm just sitting there contemplating life, wondering, is this going to be it? And I don't think I was even looking at chat at this stage, so I didn't know he was here at this stage. I didn't know that there was quite a lot of people there. But yeah, this was it. This is it. Always double checking that I've got my charms equipped. I could go into a guide about the Hollow Knight fight himself, but like I said, there's probably other guides out there that will do a better job. I can certainly chip in and give my 2 cents again, if that's something that somebody's wondering. And then Hollow Knight Superman for good luck. I always do the little Superman glitch. I should say I'm running this on version 1.4.3.2, which was before the Watcher Knights upgrade. So it's not the current patch, because I did the Watcher Knights fight once with the current patch, and I noped out of that. So yeah, entering the Black Egg Temple here. And yeah, I just closed my eyes, did a little bit of reflection, focus, meditation, whatever you want to call it, as I take the long walk to the fight. And before I leave you with the emotional roller coaster of a fight that is THK, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of those who was in chat that day. They were so supportive and engaging, and I'm glad that there were so many people who were there to see it by the end. Even a massive thank you to all those who've been so supportive over the past number of months, as I lost my sanity at this run, and by sticking by me and not giving up. I've been streaming on Twitch now for exactly a year, as of the 15th of August, hopefully by the time this video goes up. And I didn't think I would ever get to interact with as many different people as I have. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I definitely didn't think I would be doing a no-hit run, ever. However, one of the biggest inspirations for streaming in the first place, for doing a no-hit run, or even playing this game in the first place, was because of an awesome guy named Hull1030. I've known him for as long as I've been on Twitch, and he's such a super cool guy. He's way more talented gamer than me. He's already beat the 80% no-hit, and he's currently doing true ending no-hit. So you should definitely check him out and all his other amazing content. So if he's watching and he's listening, I hope he knows how much of an impact he's had on my life, as soppy as that sounds. And if he doesn't hear from me, make sure you tell him. Make sure you tell him I said that. With that being said, enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope to see you in one of my streams. Take care. Bye.
Please, please. Please, please. Yes! 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 Let's go! Yes! 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 Fucking yes! I knew I could do it! I knew I could do it!